Good evening. It is time for today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Wednesday, July 27th, year of our Lord 2022. Uh, it's like deja vu all over again, as our friend Yogi would say. That Build Back Better keeps coming back. Keep build back. It keeps coming back. The thought's been dead a couple of times, but it's making another run for it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Won't you join us? Does everybody know what causes inflation? I thought we all learned that about what causes it. Generally, it's too many dollars chasing too few goods, and that causes inflation. Generally, the too many dollars comes from the federal government, right? They keep flooding the market with dollars, and uh, and that's what causes the stock market to go up also because there's nothing for where there's no place for the money to go, and so people buy equities, and that forces supply and demand, more supply of dollars, puts demand on the stock prices go up. Uh, we've spent trillions because of the pandemic. Trillions. We used to talk about billions, then we talked about hundreds of billions. Now we talk about trillions. 4 billion, 4 trillion, 5 trillion. The Build Back Better plan was up to $5 trillion more. And this what's the reason? We know that the cause of inflation is government. One of the causes is government spending. And what do our politicians? How do they want to solve the inflation problem? Spend more. So we need another program. And so they're really pushing this Build Back Better plan. There's a lot of bad things in this, but the worst thing, in my mind, in my opinion, is the IRS funding. They want to give the IRS, now they already gave the IRS more funding this year. And on top of that funding, additional funding, they want to add $80 billion, $80 billion to the IRS. Now, if you've heard the show, seen the show, you may know the answer to this. What's the IRS's budget every year? The IRS budget is $14 billion a year. $14 billion a year. $80 billion increase over 10 years is about 2/3 more they want to give the IRS. And they want to hire 87,000 more employees. Right now, the IRS has a little less than 83,000 employees. So they're going to double the workforce of the IRS and give them $10 billion. And you might think, well, maybe then they'll be able to answer my phone call. Maybe they could run through some of this stuff better. We won't have a backlog. The answer is that's not where the money's going to go. The money's going to go to come after you for more money, for more taxes. That's where the money's going to go. So we have a good article. Let's go to the article. And here's the article. Don't. This is from Americans for Tax Reform. They have a lot of good information about taxes. Dems wanted to supersize IRS to fund spending blowout. Of course, that's their answer, right? Well, stimulus. We need stimulus. With inflation at a 40-year high and the U.S. economy headed towards a recession, Democrats are now proposing to sic the IRS on households and small businesses to fund Democrats' trillion-dollar tax and spend spree. Remember, the only thing that stopped this now from being passed is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin said, no, this is it's too big. It's too much money. It'll be inflationary. And of course, that's why one of the reasons why all the Democrats hate Joe Manchin. But he's been working with the Biden administration to reduce the price tag, and from 5 trillion to something more reasonable. I don't know what would be reasonable. Is $1 trillion reasonable? I don't think so. But Senate Finance Committee Chair today called for the increase in IRS audits, investigations, and enforcements to pay the Democrats' reconciliation bill. He outlined additional funding for the IRS to increase enforcement at spending levels mirroring those in the House passed version of the Democrats' reconciliation bill. Under the House passed bill, Democrats would shovel an additional $80 billion to the IRS to hire nearly 87,000 new IRS agents. This beefed up IRS would then perform an additional 1.2 million annual IRS audits, about half of which would hit households making less than $75,000. 53% of IRS employees never come into the office. The IRS only answers taxpayer phone calls 19 to 20% of the time. Democrats also know that increasing the size of the IRS will fatten their campaign coffers. Most new IRS agents will join the IRS labor union, which gives 100% of its PAC funding to Democrats. Oh, what a surprise. It's a Ponzi scheme. I don't know. Ponzi might not be the right word. More audits on middle-class households and small businesses. 87,000 new IRS agents would be unleashed for invasive and time-consuming audits of middle-class Americans and small businesses. The IRS previously announced a goal to increase small businesses audits by 50%. I've reported on that in this space, many times, alerting people that they're trying to increase the number of audits on small businesses. Again, 50%. Certain small businesses may face an audit under the plan. I think the industries that should be concerned are those in cash. He expects the agency to scrutinize cash-only small businesses like restaurants, retail, salons, and other service-based companies. Large corporations already have armies of lawyers and accountants that ensure they legally take advantage of the plethora of credits and deductions offered by the tax code. Democrats will use the IRS to shake down small businesses that are less capable of fighting back. A standard audit is a stressful experience that can take 2 to 3 years. Law-abiding taxpayers often give up rather than spend the thousands of dollars getting the assistance. Sometimes that just makes sense. It's a cost-benefit analysis, because it costs a lot of money to have an attorney help you with an audit because it takes a lot of time, and that just means a lot of money. Small businesses already have enough to worry about due to the confusing 1099 paperwork burden imposed by the Democrats' American Rescue Plan. This is the Cash App tax reform. I'm using quotes, air quotes, that they imposed, right? So these 1099Ks are going to be coming out. Out of the $80 billion in new IRS funding, $44.9 billion, more than half, will go directly towards enforcement. The agency will receive a comparatively meager $1.93 billion in funding for taxpayer services, which include things like pre-filing assistance in education, filing and account services, and taxpayer advocacy services. Increased potential for IRS snooping. The Biden administration is still trying to snoop on your bank accounts and your Venmo and PayPal accounts. Well, they can already do the Venmo and PayPal accounts. We'll see if they reverse that next year when people start seeing the consequences of this bill. Because right now you haven't seen the difference. It hasn't made a difference to you. But it will next tax season. Democrats want to give the IRS new power to automatically access bank account, Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App account inflows and outflows for all businesses and personal accounts with more than $600 in total deposits and withdrawals for what is described as a comprehensive financial account reporting regime. This is what we should spend. The IRS can't answer your phone, but they should be able to go through your bank account. Blatant disregard for taxpayer privacy, regardless of funding level. Regardless of the funding level, the IRS has for decades proven unable and unwilling to safeguard private taxpayer data. It has been 14 months since the revelation of a massive breach of private IRS taxpayer data, and still the IRS has not explained how someone gained top-to-bottom access to all Americans' private files before stealing them and giving them to the progressive organization ProPublica. The IRS and the Biden administration immediately vowed to investigate and prosecute. To this day, there are still no answers from the government. I think it was part of their propaganda, right? They're trying to show, look, rich people don't pay as much taxes as you. And obviously they pay a lot more taxes than you, percentage-wise. And then they falsified some of those numbers because they were comparing it to their assets. Assets are, as we sit here today, are not taxable. They have to sell something before you pay tax on it. But they're trying to change that too. A July 22nd audit by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration found the IRS hired many employees without even bothering to ensure that they were eligible for federal employment. The report states IRS hired individuals to fill positions, the majority of which would have had access to taxpayer data, yet never verified whether those individuals were eligible for federal employment in the United States. This year, the Attorney General found the IRS failed to address 2,000 security vulnerabilities in the child tax credit portal. A 2016 report from the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration concluded that the IRS lost track of 1,000 laptops containing sensitive taxpayer data that contract employees used. In 2015, hackers stole the personal data of 330,000 taxpayers using a tool on the IRS website to steal tax forms. We should not increase the size and scope of the IRS when it refuses to hold itself accountable and protect taxpayer information. I have to agree with them. My own opinion. We have a couple other stories. Let me just go back to this for just a second here. This is the White House page about the Build Back Better plan, the Build Back Better framework, President Biden's plan to rebuild the middle class. They always couch it in these terms. They always have a great name for these bills. But they don't seem to match what the name seems to promise much more than the bill provides. But let's just kind of go through this. What's out there? The largest effort to combat climate change. This is going to help the middle class. Is that what's helping the middle class now, combating climate change by increasing gasoline prices? You think that's helping the middle class? I always say that's really the biggest tax increase. That's not a tax increase that can hit the middle class families, right? To double the size of gasoline and electricity and natural gas to heat your home. This is the real tax. But they have a lot of things. Strengthen the Affordable Care Act. Reduce prescription drug prices. When they reduce prescription drug prices, who pays the difference? Just a question. Strengthens the Affordable Care Act. Closes the Medicare coverage gap. Again, who will pay that? Expands Medicare to cover hearing benefits. Who's going to pay that? Makes the single largest and most comprehensive investment in affordable housing. Investments are spending. Extends and expands earned income tax credits. Is that for the middle class? I don't think so. Expands access to affordable, high-quality education beyond high school. So we're gonna pay for people to go to college. Promotes nutrition security to support children's health. So we're gonna pay for food. Invested. There's also this universal pre-K. All these promises. And again, this has a $5 trillion price tag. Unbelievable. I have also in here. We have an older New York Post article. Never mind the cost. Just look at absurd things to Build Back Better would buy. And so this is in the link. So I'm not going to go through that with you right now. But so anyway, that's what's going on. The Build Back Better just isn't going to die. It looked like it's been deceased several times already. But they keep bringing it back. I hope eventually, it probably won't die until November after the election. Then we have to watch out because then there's the lame duck session, and then they will try to pass it there. And then it'll have to be removed and reversed. So anyway, that's it. Remember, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe. We need your help. Like and subscribe. We need to get this information out. Remember, most news is tax news, and you're going to get your tax news here first. So thanks so much. And again, if you're fighting the IRS, if you have unfiled tax returns and you don't know what to do, the first thing you should do is get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com, freeirsbook.com. Get your free copy. I will ask for a small fee for shipping and handling, but the book is free, and all the goodies that are involved in the free reports are all free too. So thanks so much for joining us here today. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And until then, out.